Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Let's get ready to rumble!
This one by Mattingly. Oh, hang on to the roof.
Montana looking, wrong in the end zone. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Little roller up along first. Behind the man. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight and the Mets win it.
Yes! Welcome back. Welcome back. It is almost the new year. We are at episode 152 of Sports and Sorts. So welcome back. It's Saturday morning. We go live on YouTube every Monday and Saturday at 10 a.m. Yes, that's right. I skipped out the Wednesday because we will no longer be going live on Wednesdays starting in the new year. But we hope to be bringing you more content and different content on Wednesdays in a couple of months. You can also find the show on iTunes or anywhere podcasts are played. I am one of the hosts. My name is Shane Moore.
And I'm the other host. I'm the Brian Man. Happy New Year, everyone.
Yes, we are very close. So close to ringing in the new year. Is it ringing or bringing? What do you say?
Ringing
That's
in
what
the
I
New
say.
Year. Yes.
Yeah, you could say bringing. I mean,
Well, sure, but
it's not like you're actually bringing in the new year, though.
yeah, you're ringing it in. Yeah, you're not like Santa bringing it in like a big sack of toys over his shoulder. Was Santa good to you and your family this year?
Oh, absolutely. It was great. I mean,
Yeah.
it is the most wonderful time of the year.
It absolutely is.
Just all of that, Thanksgiving and then leading to Christmas, and it's just the whole
It
thing
is.
glorious.
Well, I love it so much that I get a major case of the post-holiday blues when it's over, though. I really do. And
really?
it lasts for like a month before I really get out of it. Because I got to, once the Christmas decorations come down, and you know how much our house is decorated for Christmas, you've seen it firsthand. And it takes a long time, which of course that adds to the depression because it takes hours and hours and literally days to put it up and days and hours to take it down.
The physical labor of it all.
Yeah, it's just a constant reminder of what's gone now and what you have to wait another year or basically 10 to 11 months to come back.
Yeah.
Again, so, it's depressing. I mean, I love this time of year. It's for a number of reasons. One, most importantly, because I have kids just like you do, and that's the excitement that you get. Mm-hmm. And two, because I have such great personal memories of this time of year myself too. So it stinks. It stinks when it's over, and then you got to get back to reality, so to speak. It also stinks because I've been off of work for for about 3 weeks. So that's like the other thing. Back to work, back to reality, all that stuff. Before you know it, it'll be time to do taxes and buy Valentine's Day gifts.
Yeah. I was going to pull this up, and I couldn't get to it quick enough, but back to life and back to reality.
Oh, boy, baby.
And you can tell this is like a recording of a record, too. You can hear the crackling in the background.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I actually recorded it because I like
from vinyl
so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, you can find this show on Facebook.com/Shane and the Bryman. You can follow us on Twitter at Shane and Bryman. Yes, it's a little different. And of course, you can comment during the show. We will put it in on the show. We will drop your comments on the show, and if we like them, we might even respond to them. We usually do. And, of course, go ahead and, if you haven't already, click that subscribe button because the more subscribers we get, the more people we can reach. The more people we can reach, the happier that we are. You got to get Brian out of this post-holiday funk. And so more subscribers.
It's not here yet.
Yeah, I guess it's not. It's almost.
It starts January 2nd. That's
January 2nd.
That's when the blues start.
All right. Well,
that's when the reality kicks in that it's over.
Besides the Bryman's blues,
Yeah.
we had a great show, so let's go.
You
You are listening to Sports and Swords with Shane and the Bry Man.
Okay. So we got a lot to talk about today, and mostly, I think as of right now, we're going to be talking about NFL. We got the NFL awards coming up. There's not really a ton to talk about in the NFL. We're not going to get into picking games and everything like that for tomorrow. It's the last game of the season. A lot of starters won't be playing. There's obviously some games that are very important for some teams to try and get into the playoffs and, get whatever they want, their first round buys, all that kind of stuff.
I'm just most excited about that Titans-Colts game.
It's going to be very exciting. Yes,
that should be fun.
I'm looking forward to seeing that game. You have the two rookie coaches going head to head. You have Andrew Luck, who has just been a beast over the last half of the season. So I'm really looking forward to it. And plus, my boy Frank Reich is the coach of Indianapolis Colts, and he obviously holds a nice
special place in your heart, yes,
on my heart, because he had one of the greatest playoff games of all time as a comeback. So, all right, let's get into our NFL awards, the picks that we have for this year. What we're going to do is we're going to have the first one we're going to start off with is Offensive Rookie of the Year. And what we're going to do is we're going to count down 3, 2, 1, we're both going to say our answer. And then,
we're trying something new here.
We're going to try something new and see if we actually have the same person or not. Mm-hmm. And if we don't, then, we'll both talk about them briefly, and we'll get into it. And if you guys have any picks, who your picks are, what we're going to be doing is Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, and, of course, the biggest one, the MVP of the year. And I have a feeling most people are going to be picking the MVP because it's just a really good year. So let's get into our first one. Offensive Rookie of the Year. We're going to count down.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, and then we will give our on after one. So 3, 2, 1, boom.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Here we go.
So here we go. We have Offensive Rookie of the Year for this year. 3, 2, 1, Saquon
Baker
Barkley.
Mayfield. I had a feeling we would differ on this one.
Oh man, I can't believe you went with Baker. Go ahead.
I was really close to going with Barkley too, because first of all, he's had an amazing year for a really relatively awful Giants team. But I'll tell you what swung me to Baker Mayfield. A couple of things. One, the turnaround of the Cleveland Browns from a 0-win team to now a team that could actually finish at, or maybe I think even above 500, which would just be unbelievable. Mm-hmm. His last 6 games, he hasn't just played like a Rookie of the Year caliber player. He's played like an actual NFL MVP, the way that team has played. Now, Baker Mayfield has shown you some of his warts this season for sure. And a lot of those have to do with kind of just the way he handles himself. But I think also a lot of people knew that about Baker Mayfield coming in. He conducts himself in a certain way that a lot of people question, and I understand that. The way that he's sort of handling this whole Hugh Jackson thing is a little bit over the top, especially, what he did last week. And I was fine with him not shaking like Hugh Jackson's hand. We talked about that before. I didn't have a problem with that. Mm-hmm. But, he started to take it a little bit too far. So he's, like last week, because he was just like staring him down on the sideline as he was like, walking away. And, look, at some point, the kid's going to grow up, okay? But here's the thing. The guy plays the most important position in all of sports. He's come in, he has this team has a completely different feel to it now. This is the proof. This is what we talk about for years, how if a quarterback is truly special, he can make all the difference. He can take a team that is very average and make it above average. A great quarterback can take a good team and make a good team great, and a great team and make a great team a Super Bowl team. Baker Mayfield is probably working with a pretty average roster right now, and he's making them above average. They're not going to make the playoffs, but the fact that they're even close, that they even showed up this year and that he had such a good year, to me, is a huge testament to him. Take nothing away from Saquon Barkley, but let's be honest. Rookie running backs are very capable of doing the kind of things that Saquon Barkley did this year. Now, do I believe that Saquon Barkley was a great pick by the Giants? Yes, 100%. In fact, I'd probably do it all over again if I had to, because he is a generational player. He's a dual threat running back. From a fantasy perspective, he's going to be a top 3 pick next year. Mm-hmm. He's a sensational player. But the way you win in the NFL is with the quarterback. And Baker Mayfield, in his last 6 games, has put that team on his back and not only pulled them out of the basement and out of the doldrums, but actually pulled them into respectability to a team that you kind of don't want to play right now. Saquon Barkley, as great as he is, did not have that much of an impact, at least in terms of what the Giants wanted to do this year and where they wanted to go. Because let's remember one thing. The expectation level for both of these teams at the beginning of the year was very, very different. The Giants were not only, by many people, myself included, I think, were expected to be a playoff team.
Yeah.
The Browns were expected at best to be like 6, 7, 8 win team, kind of what they are. Mm-hmm. But that's at best. And Baker Mayfield has just played, especially in these last 6 games, not only like a rookie of the year, but like an MVP.
All right. Well, so my counterpoint to that, just real brief, because is the only reason why things look so good for him. Because the first half he was terrible. I mean, he wasn't terrible, but he didn't start the season. He wasn't. There was games that he was pretty good, and there was games that he was pretty bad. Mm-hmm. The second half, he played the Atlanta Falcons. How about this? When he started without Hugh Jackson, it was Kansas City, and he got blown out by Kansas City, which that's what happens when you play a good team. And then he played the Falcons, who are bad this year, and he had good numbers against them. He had played the Cincinnati Bengals, terrible team. Houston Texans were a good team, but they lost to the Houston Texans pretty bad, 29-13. And then they played the Panthers, who, ever since Cam Newton's arm injury and all that kind of surfaced, they've been a horrible team. Then they played the Denver Broncos, who are a 50, they're 50-50 this year. And they only beat them by 1 point. And then they played the Cincinnati Bengals again, who are a terrible team. So I would just say he's playing to the level of his competition right now. Or he's not playing to the level. He's playing good against bad teams. He's picking on bad teams, and that's part of football. That's part of the NFL. I did pick them to go, I think 7-9 this year, or 8-8, something like that, early on in the year. So they are about where I thought they would be. So that's why I wouldn't give it to him. But I will say, Saquon Barkley, for me, is the guy who I picked, and I think that he's going to have over 1,200 rushing yards. He's going to have probably over 700 receiving yards on the season. He's got 87 receptions as a rookie.
Here's the one thing I will say for Saquon Barkley. To me, it's much more definitive, even after one season, that he will be a Hall of Famer as opposed to Baker Mayfield, because you just don't know which way it could go with Baker Mayfield.
Barring injury, of course.
Right, barring injury, because you can already see, if he's going to be this good in his rookie year, Saquon Barkley, if he's got even a relatively decent offensive line, which he actually did not have in New York,
and
that was a major problem for them.
He averaged almost 5 yards a carry.
Right, so he's a very special player, very special player. It's just hard for me, it's a quarterback league, it's a quarterback-driven sport, and it's just hard for me not to, but I completely understand the pick. I'm sure for both of us, you had Mayfield too, and I had Barkley too.
I did not have him too.
But
the only reason, you know what? He was there though. He was there for me. So, the reason why I didn't is because he did so poorly at the beginning of the year. And then he really seemed to just pick on those bad teams. Yeah. And that's fine. I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. Yep. It ended up having really good offensive numbers on the season. So, all right. Now let's get into the defensive rookie of the year. Because I don't need to go into. I mean, Saquon Barkley had 14 touchdowns so far this year. He's had almost 1,200 yards. He had 1198. He's got 688 receiving yards, and the dude is just a beast. So I think with 14 touchdowns that's just for me. He was by far the best rookie of the year. All right, for the offensive side. Now we'll go into defensive rookie of the year.
This should be easy. I hope. Well, maybe not.
Let's see.
Maybe not.
Defensive rookie of the year. Ready?
Yeah, sure.
3, 2, 1. Darius
Leonard.
All right.
I think when we get them both, there's probably not much to say. The guy had like 155 tackles on a team that is one more win away from going to the playoffs. He really helped steady a very bad Colts defense. He's kind of made them a little bit more respectable.
Yes.
And he's one of those guys. He seems to be where the ball is. I mean, when you have that many tackles, he kind of reminds me in a way of, look, when the Dolphins had a young and upstart defense, there was a guy...
Kiko Alonso?
No, I was going to say he reminds me of a guy named Zach Thomas, who's a borderline...
He was good.
He was that kind of guy. He was always around the ball, 150 tackles a year. If that's what Darius Leonard's going to become, the Colts made a great pick there.
Yeah, because, I mean, for me, as you said, 155 tackles. He is leading by a wide margin. I mean, granted, Leighton Vander Esch is a very good, but he was
my number 2,
Vander Esch. He's the number 2 for me as well. But he has had, I think Leonard has actually had 24 more tackles than Vander Esch, and he has 7 more sacks than Vander Esch. And then on top of that, the thing that's the most important to me with these defensive players is the tackles for loss.
Yes.
And, that, and of course, fumbles and forced fumbles and stuff like that are very important. But Darius Leonard has 10 more tackles for loss than Vander Esch. Vander Esch only had 2, and Leonard had 12 this year.
I like Vander Esch a lot. I think Vander Esch is an extremely special player. And if you're a Cowboys fan...
Sean Lee. They didn't miss Sean Lee. Yeah.
I mean, I think you need to be extremely excited for what... If you're a Cowboys fan.
But you just happen to be going up against a juggernaut of a defense.
Yeah, I mean, this guy... I mean, look, the numbers say it. The numbers say it. I mean, the results are similar. The teams are similar in terms of record. So, I mean...
It's very similar. And I there's one team that I think that has a better postseason outlook than the other because their quarterback's a little bit better.
I would agree, assuming that team makes the playoffs.
Yes, of course. All right, so now let's get into the Coach of the Year. Coach of the Year.
Okay.
Are you ready? In 3, 2, 1... Matt Nagy. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it had to be. Look, I've been bullish on the Bears all year. There was no way I wasn't going.
I have to go back and look at the beginning of the year because I know I had. So I started the year. I don't know because I can't remember what you had them finishing at the beginning of the year. I'll have to go back and look at our video.
I don't either. I have no idea what I
know we had them not doing great.
Probably.
I had them at 4-12. And there was a guy that commented on one of our episodes and was like, he's like, because
was it Mark? Was it Mark Storybrat? My friend Mark.
It might have been. I can't remember.
Could have been.
But he basically said, he basically ripped us for ripping the Bears, and we were wrong. I was definitely wrong. I
don't remember, but I'll certainly eat crow. But I've ever since they started, I've been big on the Bears all year.
They might actually go 12-4, and I picked them to go 4-12. And I think that this year they did it mainly on defense. And the miraculous maneuvering that Matt Nagy has put in place on offense. He is a master of illusion because I honestly think that Trubisky is not a good quarterback. I think he is an average to below average quarterback, and Nagy made him look above average. And that's what you needed to do, and they have done a great job.
See, we differ there because I think Trubisky is going to be a very good quarterback. I like him. There's something about him. I feel like there's a special it factor there with him that we will eventually see play itself out. Yeah. But look, but in terms of Nagy and what he did, look, he took that team from, I don't remember what they finished last year, but they were not respectable. They made a great trade to get Khalil Mack there, to completely give that Bears defense an identity. And look, they've won 11 games so far. Mm-hmm. I mean, they've won the division, a division that they were not supposed to even really compete in this year.
5-11 last year.
5-11 to what?
3-13 the year before that.
And at worst, it's going to be a reverse to 11-5.
They are worst to first.
Worst to first. They won the division in a division that had both the Packers and the Vikings. This was not a division they were supposed to win. Mm-hmm. I think people would have put them in the conversation with the Lions.
Oh, yeah.
But other than that, they weren't expected to be anywhere near the Packers or the Vikings. Nope. They blew those teams away. I've been bullish on the Bears all year. I still insist that that's a team you don't want to play in the postseason, especially if it's in Chicago.
All right. Now let's move on to the comeback player of the year.
Oh, boy.
This is a tough one because there are a couple that really deserve it. I mean, there was a handful, at least 3, that really deserved to be the comeback player of the year.
No. There's one, and there's only one.
We probably have the same person.
Yeah, I would think so.
But the comeback player of the year is 3, 2, 1, Andrew Luck. All right, so I actually, there was 2 other guys. I had J.J. Watt in the running. He was obviously, he had a tremendous year. He is going to get some defensive player of the year nods, of course. And there was also Deshaun Watson, who also,
Sure.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had to come back from that bad injury, and he came back and played really well. Their team is.
Yeah, I would say these are the top 3 guys.
Yeah, so I mean, those are kind of the main 3 that really should get some nod. But I
To
think
me,
Andrew
the one
Luck
that
is just there was a chance that he wasn't going to play this year.
right. That's exactly.
And he came out.
There were
and he
people
has
who thought
had-
his career could have been over.
And he had, so far, he's 9-6 this year, and he has had, probably, in my opinion, he's had the best season he's ever had in his career. And this is a perennial, MVP candidate. He's completed the most passes that he's ever had, 67%. That's almost a 70% completion. 67%, 4,300 yards, 36 touchdowns to 14 interceptions.
He's borderline in the MVP conversation. He's not, because there's so many guys that are in.
No, he is definitely in there.
I put him in the top 6. I put him in the top 6, but in the lower end.
I put him in the top 3. For me, easily. He's been that good.
He has been that good. I mean, he's Andrew
in the
Luck
second
again.
half.
He's Andrew Luck again.
Yes.
I mean, and there were people who thought he was done, who thought this shoulder thing was going to end his career.
Yeah.
And he's clearly back.
He's going to have probably, and this is where we all thought his shoulder was just going to fall apart. He is going to probably attempt more passes than he has ever attempted in his career. The most he's ever done is 627. That was in his rookie year. And he's at 604 right now. He's already completed more passes than he's ever completed. Yeah. And that's with the completion percentage is 67.2%. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
And the one thing I've said about Andrew Luck, basically since he's been in the league, is he has done it with, in my opinion, average talent. I mean, T.Y. Hilton is a good player. Yeah. Eric Ebron had an unbelievable year.
Yeah, he did.
This year. Unbelievable. Pro Bowl year.
Yeah.
Jack Doyle didn't really show up, but that's because Eric Ebron did.
Yeah.
So, but look at his running game. Marlon Mack, by the way, if Le'Veon Bell ends up in Indy next year, which apparently is a location that he is pretty fond of, which is understandable, especially since Andrew Luck looks like Andrew Luck again, look out. Because that is the dynamic kind of dual threat running back that will take Andrew Luck to probably MVP level.
And Marlon Mack has played well. I mean,
Marlon Mack has played very well. Very, very well.
Good
year. Le'Veon Bell is a different kind of guy, though. Yeah. So, but man, oh man, to me, this was one of the easier picks. Andrew Luck, in a while.
Yeah, he's been so good, and he is, in my opinion, he is going to be. He might even finish second in the MVP vote.
He could.
That's how good he's been.
Yeah,
I think what is he, like 8-1 his last 9 games or something ridiculous?
Yeah. I mean, he's completely put them on his back.
Yeah, and Frank Reich should get some Coach of the Year nods as well.
He would be in my number. He would have been my number 2 after Nagy.
So there was 4 coaches that I had.
Matt
Nagy. I had Lynn.
Lynn's.
I had Lynn. I had Reich, and I had Pete Carroll. Because Pete Carroll's done a tremendous job as well this year with the Seahawks, because the Seahawks should have just faded off into non-existence, and they are, they're another one.
They're scary.
Yeah, they look like they could be, they could make some noise.
I would not want to play Russell Wilson in the playoffs. I really wouldn't. No. He just scares me.
All right. Okay, now let's go to Defensive Player of the Year.
Okay.
Ready?
In
3, 2, 1.
Aaron Donald.
Jeez, wow, okay. I mean, my whole problem with Aaron Donald, and this is the reason why I was trying to find somebody that could beat him out, because for me, there were games where he just completely got shut out. And if you're that good,
couple weeks, actually.
But last week he I think he had 3 sacks or something.
No, not last week. The 2 weeks before. I think weeks 13 and 14. Yeah, he was a no-show.
He was like a non-factor, and that is something that a player of the year should never really be, especially in back-to-back weeks.
Especially that late in the season too. That's the time of year when you're looking for guys like that to step up.
Exactly, and he is.
But
I mean, he has 19.5 sacks. There's a chance that he could contend, depending on how well he plays.
He'd need what, 3?
3 sacks, yeah.
Eye straight in. Yeah.
I mean, he's done that in many games, but it's unlikely. But he does the thing that he really does well is he leads the league right now in tackles for loss, and that's 24, and that's a lot. That's a lot of tackles for loss. There's a couple of guys that are out there that could have competed with him for this. The Von Millers, the J.J. Watts, the Khalil Macks. They are all very, very
Khalil
good.
Mack was actually my number 2 just because of he gets traded from the Raiders, goes to the Bears. The Bears win the division. Immediate impact. Yeah. I mean, he was my number 2, but it wasn't really that close though.
Yeah. Darius Leonard, he was up there. He'll be up there to me, it's Aaron Donald. He's going to win third.
19.5 sacks is just incredibly special.
Yeah.
It's just incredibly special. The guy's on his way to a massive Hall of Fame career. He's an MVP candidate.
Yes,
he was an MVP. He was in the discussion early in the season. So
okay. All right, now let's move on to Offensive Player of the Year.
This is where it gets interesting.
If we have the same guy here, I am going to be shocked.
Okay.
Because mine is a running back, and
we don't have the same player.
Yeah, so I know that we both know the NFL is a quarterback league. That's what it is. That's what it is. But for me, the Offensive Player of the Year it's just producing offensively. That's what it is. That's all it is, right?
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
So let's go. Offensive Player of the Year in 3, 2, 1. Christian McCaffrey.
McCaffrey. I like that pick.
So I picked Christian McCaffrey because of this. He is one of the only players in history to catch 100 balls and rush for 1,000 yards.
Yeah,
and he has 106 receptions. 106 receptions as a running back.
It's nuts.
And he has almost 1,100 rushing yards. This is a guy who averages 5 yards a carry. He has on the season he has 13 touchdowns, and he did not drop one ball all year.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's unreal. His hands are unreal.
Ridiculous. His father is proud.
Oh God. You know what scares me? His father was a good player. You know what scares me about Christian McCaffrey is almost like the Le'Veon Bell thing. I worry about the workload. Mm-hmm. I mean, don't get me wrong. That's what you get him for. And the lifespan of a running back is relatively limited. But this guy literally he is the definition of dual threat. Mm. I mean, even more, I would actually say he's more of a wide receiving threat. Which, by the way, if you have him in fantasy and you have the ability to keep him in like a keeper league, never let him go. Never let him go.
This is the modern day LaDainian Tomlinson. I mean, he's
without a doubt.
They're not quite the rusher. He's not quite, but you don't know because he doesn't have that kind of line. LaDainian Tomlinson was such a special player.
LaDainian Tomlinson, was way ahead of his time. I mean,
it was like you had the 3
incredible
guys.
Player. He was one of my favorite players.
Thurman Thomas, who was like that, and then you went to Marshall Faulk, and then you went to LaDainian Tomlinson. And those are the guys.
Yeah.
And it seems like this guy, it might be the next coming of that mold.
Yeah,
it's just been that good. I mean, you have some other guys like Alvin Kamara who are really good out of the backfield, but this guy just does not drop a ball.
Yeah. For me,
like Thurman Thomas, was the guy. He was a running back, but he had the best hands on the Bills, and that's with Andre Reed and James Lofton, and they had some serious talent. So
for me, picking Breeze, it was really, without giving anything away about my MVP pick, I always see the Offensive Player of the Year as sort of a consolation prize to the MVP. And so to me, that's kind of where this falls. So that may be giving away who my MVP is, although I suspect our MVP is.
I think everybody is going to have the same MVP. You'd be kind of weird if you didn't.
But at the same time, let's give credit where it's due. The Saints have won 13 games this year. Mm-hmm. They're having an incredible year. Drew Brees is having a Drew Brees year. Not quite as prolific on the offensive numbers, but he doesn't need that, though. But you know what? The one thing about Drew Brees, I will say, despite the fact that he's getting older, and he's certainly not carrying the load as much as he's had, doesn't have to, though.
Right.
He's got an unbelievable two-headed monster in running back with Kamara and Mark Ingram. He's got Michael Thomas has got to be one of the most reliable, steady, and incredible route running receivers I have ever seen.
He's not that fast.
That guy is great. He is so great. He runs, and I do not want to make this sound sacrilegious because the name I'm about to say is the guy who I believe is the greatest player in the history of football in Jerry Rice. Mm-hmm. But Michael Thomas does remind me of him a little bit. Because like you said, he's not the fastest guy, but my God, does he run beautiful, crisp routes. The ball is, it doesn't, but look, Rice had Montana throwing to him, okay? Yeah. So you got guys who were equally great, complementing each other. And I think the same is true of Thomas and Breeze. These guys are equally great. They complement each other well. One knows exactly where the other is supposed to be. Thomas is a really smart guy. He's just an unbelievable receiver. Yeah. And it's like, I've watched enough Saints games this year too. It's like every time Breeze throws the ball, he's like 85% of the time targeting Michael Thomas, and with good reason. The guy gets open. He's unbelievable. Michael Thomas was I actually thought about him for Offensive Player of the Year, to be honest. He's had such a great year. And the Saints, hey, listen, when they come marching in, man, that's a dangerous team. That's a dangerous team. They can score. They're going to score points on anybody. Uh-huh. They're going to be able to move the ball. But Drew Brees is the guy at the epicenter of all of it.
Drew Brees did have a couple stinkers, particularly against Cowboys, which is why he got shifted out of the MVP conversation for me. And there was one guy who, even though he didn't win them all, he still put up numbers. And that will lead us to our MVP candidate, and I would be shocked if this was different. Absolutely shocked. Ready? MVP candidate in 3, 2, 1. Tariq Cohen.
Patrick Mahomes.
Just kidding. Patrick Mahomes, obviously. My boy, Mahomie the Clown.
Mahomie the Clown.
Yes,
Mahomie don't play that.
Homie don't play that.
Yeah, that's right.
Mahomie don't play that.
So, little children, what have we learned, if nothing else? Homie don't play that.
That's right. Mahomie don't play that. So he has, played 15 games this year. He's 11-4, 66% completion percentage, which is very good. It's exceptional. A lot of the quarterbacks are starting to trend towards closer to 70%, which, it used to be 65%. You were great. And now it seems like the good ones are really starting to separate themselves from the bad. He's got almost 5,000 yards thrown. He has almost 50 touchdown passes. He only has 11 picks. Only 11 picks. And he's a mobile quarterback, but he doesn't rush a lot. He does not run the ball a ton.
They've done studies,
60% of the time.
They've done studies, 60% of the time it works.
But because he doesn't rush the ball a lot. I can't. I don't even know if he has how many rushing yards does he have on the season. I don't even know if he has. Does he even have like 200 yards of rushing on the season? I don't even think so. But he doesn't have many rushing yards. Obviously, has been a beast as a quarterback. He has the weapons, but you know what? Alex Smith had those weapons too. And he never put up 48 and 11. He never, he did come close to completing 66% of his passes because he's such a careful thrower.
He's an efficient thrower.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hope, barring any set, that injury.
We may not see him again.
We may not see him again, but we'll have to wait and see. That was a pretty gruesome injury. Hopefully everything works out. But Patrick Mahomes. Obvious for me that he was the MVP candidate because they continued to win even after losing one of, if not the best running backs in the game.
The thing that made it sort of easy for me is if you watch the games that he lost, he still played well. He actually was the guy who kept them in games that they were losing. Mm-hmm. And he never, I don't know, I haven't looked at all of his game stats to see if he had any duds, real duds.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's even hard to recall if he did is almost a surefire. And in games where they won close, he was the reason why.
Yeah.
And then he just gave you so many special moments throughout the year. So many crazy, ridiculous. The no-look pass, the 4th and whatever to Tyreek Hill.
He had 7 games where he threw 4 touchdowns or more.
It's just insane. The numbers alone say it. But it also passes the eyeball test if you watch the guy. He's an MVP. It's the very definition of it. He has his team in position to be the 1 seed, which they absolutely need to be.
Yeah. He only had 2 games all year where he threw less than 250 yards.
Yeah. Now look,
that was 243 and 249.
Now, here's the thing with the Chiefs. Are you completely confident that they can go to the Super Bowl even if they have the 1 seed? Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not. Positively not. It does not help that Kareem Hunt is not there anymore.
Their defense is terrible.
Although I will tell you, Damian Williams, who, by the way, was a Dolphin, go figure, looks like he's picked up that mantle very well. I don't know exactly what it is that Adam Gase and the rest of this coaching staff didn't see in Damian Williams, but apparently Andy Reid hasn't had any problem picking up on it. That's so Dolphins. I'm not going to get into them. I want to talk a little bit of baseball before we leave because we only got about 9 minutes left here. But listen, Patrick Mahomes. Come on. Is there any other choice? Is there even legitimately any other choice? There really isn't.
I mean,
isn't.
That's impressive. Although
it's not even close.
He had 1 game all season where he didn't throw a touchdown, but he still threw for 313 yards.
Okay, that was his dud game.
Yeah, and they lost.
So imagine
they lost 40-43.
Right. So imagine like.
I'm sorry. They lost. No, they won that game 30-14, and he didn't throw 2 picks. He threw 2 picks, but no touchdowns.
So
he still won.
They still won the game by 2 scores.
Yeah, the game that that was 40-43 against the Patriots, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks, 352 yards.
In the games that they've lost, my point is the games that they lost really were not his fault.
Yeah,
that's really what it comes down to. You know whose fault it was? The defense is bad, and that's going to be there.
Really bad.
Yeah, remember how our buddy Damien thought that the Red Sox fatal flaw would be the bullpen, even though it turned out not to be. That's what the Chiefs' fatal flaw will be. If they lose in these playoffs, it's because they get outscored.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be tougher for Patrick Mahomes to do what he does in the playoffs because obviously you're playing better teams on a regular basis.
And not only that, but then the pressure is tenfold.
Yeah, it's win or go home. We'll see how tight he plays when it comes down to win or go home. See if he keeps that loosey-goosey throwing left-handed kind of stuff going.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So we pretty much done. If you have any comments about where you thought people were, if you thought we messed up in certain categories, let us know what you think. Again, we differed
on 2, I think, which was Offensive Player of the Year and Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the Year, yeah. And then, of course, my
Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Tariq Cohen.
Good call.
For Player of the Year, for MVP.
In Tariq Cohen's defense, he's had a good year.
Yeah. We had Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, MVP. And that's who we picked. And I'd like to hear what you guys think, if you guys have any opinions on those. All right, now let's switch over. We'll switch topics real quick, talk about this for a few seconds. And that is, of course,
play ball!
Little MLB. You had noticed something that was on Twitter recently. We had like a week and a half off. Like we weren't on for a long time. We're not going to be on again until next Saturday, just so you guys know. We're not going to be, because we're not doing Wednesdays anymore for the short term. We are going to be coming back with some more content on Wednesdays coming up soon. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel so this way you can get all that stuff. Just click the link that you're on now. Go to YouTube if you have a YouTube account, which I think a lot of people do now because, more people are watching YouTube than ever. Just hit that subscribe button, and then you can click the little bell, and it'll notify you whenever we have a new video go on.
Yeah.
Those will be coming out probably, I would say, before the summer. They should be coming out, and we're going to have them rolling out every Wednesday. It's going to be a recorded show, but it's going to be about it could be about anything, but we're going to get in deep into like one particular topic. And we're going to go in that for about a half hour. If you have any things that you would like us to talk about, too, you can go ahead and throw them in there, and we will throw them in our little Any List that we use. It's an app that is tremendous, and I think you guys should try it out if you haven't. It's good for grocery lists, anything, really. Christmas lists, all that kind of stuff. Works out really well.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the MLB. You said there was this guy on Twitter that had some kind of weird post about Manny Machado.
So the guy's name is Dan Clark. He is a verified account, by the way. But then again, Twitter throws out verifications like pediatricians' offices throw out lollipops to kids. It's not really that special if you get the little blue check. Like, at some point, you and I should get a blue check for Sports and Sorts. I mean,
But we are verified. I mean,
but this guy, we're certifiable, not verifiable. But so anyways, Dan Clark, who's got the little blue check, he's actually a member of the Baseball Writers Association of America, but again, that doesn't really carry a lot of weight either, especially when you see that some of these guys are out there not voting for Mariano Rivera. But anyway, so here was a tweet from him 18 hours ago. Have heard that the Yankees, Phillies, and White Sox have all made their final offers to Manny Machado, and it is indeed New York where he'll be heading. Announced expected early January. Okay, first of all.
Inconceivable.
Now look, here's the thing. This guy is not really going out on much of a limb here. Okay, there is at least a 33% chance that he is going to the Yankees. And if you don't believe for a second that the White Sox are even in it, Yonder Alonso notwithstanding, then there's at least a 50% chance. The only question is whether or not the Yankees are going to come close enough to an offer that he deems acceptable. But really, are you really going out on a major limit? First of all, this guy is not very reputable. I did a little research on him. He's made a lot of posts like this. And not only that, he doubled down on this post too. He actually said, I'm 100% happy to put my balls on the line for this. I trust my source. If, however, he has failed me or there is a late change and I am proven wrong, feel free to roast me. That would be warranted. So he's doubling down.
Yeah, it's kind of it's like no matter what, he's a winner here because now people will come after him and his Twitter feed will be all lit up.
Yeah.
If he's wrong,
I mean,
if he's right,
exactly.
He can come out there and keep rolling on and throwing.
I mean, and it's working. I mean, it's working. His followers have gone up in the. I mean, that original tweet got 4,300 likes, 2,400 retweets, and 568 comments. It's I mean, he's getting reaction to it.
Oh, yeah.
That little blue check is helping him here. Look, it's not a major leap here to say that he's going to end up, that Manny Machado is going to end up in New York. We've talked about this ad infinitum. There's a really good chance that he's going to go there, especially if it's between these three teams. It's been made very clear to me that Manny Machado probably prefers the Yankees. Now, the guy is saying he's saying this. He's not giving the name of the source, but he's saying that the source is a friend, like Manny Machado's friend. That he trusts very much. So we'll see. I mean, this doesn't make me happy. I mean, you know how I feel about Manny Machado. Yeah. I'm not a fan. Not to mention the fact that I think the Yankees would be better off with Bryce Harper because I think they need a lefty bat more than they need another righty bat in that lineup. But whatever.
And I've talked to a lot of, I would like to call them rational Yankee fans. And I've talked to them, and I had a conversation with my stepfather, my father over the course of the holiday season. And we were talking about the Yankees, and he was on the same page. He's like, I don't like, they don't really need him. Like, I was like, I don't think they need him. He's like, I don't think they need him. Like, what's the point? Why do you need him there? Like, you already have Andujar, who has put up comparable offensive numbers. Granted, Manny's a better defensive player at third, but comparable offensive numbers. Like, how much more are you going to get by putting Manny at third? I don't know. Just doesn't make much sense to me. So if you guys have any input on that, go ahead and put it in the comments and let us know what you think. And we will be back again, of course, on – oh, wait, you know what? I got to do for you because you haven't heard it in a while. We will be back Saturday after the new year. We will be ringing in the new year ourselves. Yes. You can bring in the new year if you'd like. And we will see you guys again soon. Like I said, next Saturday. I don't even know what day that is. What is that, the third?
Next Saturday? No, that will be
fourth?
The fifth.
Whoa, man. Time is already flying. 2019 is flying already. All right, so we'll see you guys on the 5th. January 5th, we'll be live again, and then we'll come back again on Mondays. Mondays and Saturdays at 10 a.m. Subscribe to the channel. Let us know what you guys think of the podcast and the live show, whatever you got. And we guys will see you again soon. My name is Shane Moore.
I'm the Bryman.
And you can find me on Twitter at EinhornerSfinkel. You can find the Bryman at
_Bry_man.
And we will see you guys again on Saturday, January 5th. Peace out.
Stay classy, Play the Club.